Boruto is Boruto, and he is not Momoshiki. For now, and even in the upcoming chapter 27 and the next few chapters, I think Boruto is still Boruto. But the real question is, when and how will Momoshiki eventually merge with Boruto? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Nim, without the E, and let's dive into Boruto and Momoshiki. First and foremost, keep in mind that this is just my own theory and speculation. In other words, any theories out there on the internet about Momoshiki and Boruto are not mistakes, nonsense, or anything like that. No one can claim they're absolutely right while others are wrong. Everyone has their own perspective, but I have my reasons. So yeah, chapter 26 left the fandom curious and wondering whether the agreement at the end of chapter 25 was really a deal. Yes, Momoshiki did accept Boruto's proposal to form an alliance to defeat Jura, but once chapter 26 dropped, and of course it became a hot topic, especially with Boruto's pose that made many think he was actually Momoshiki, honestly, I don't think that's the case. He is not Momoshiki, it is Boruto. The reason is none other than the fact that since Sasuke left Boruto, where Sasuke was trapped in a tree, Boruto's personality has completely changed. If we compare Boruto's current expression, it is clearly his own expression or style, which is basically cold. Starting from the Konoha invasion arc, when he first fought Code in the village, Boruto's face showed a consistency in expression that was exactly the same as this expression. Then, after the interrogation arc, Boruto's expression remained the same, with a serious and cold face. In other words, this does not prove that Momoshiki and Boruto have truly merged. It is true that their nature and personalities are similar, but not entirely. Momoshiki is arrogant and condescending, especially towards humans or shinobi like them. Moreover, there is at least one clue or scene that suggests that Momoshiki's nature will emerge in Boruto through whispers or instinctive urges that are different from his original personality. For example, Boruto usually cares about his friends, but Momoshiki could push him to think more selfishly or strategically and judge whether the people around him are truly useful or not. But in fact, Boruto argues with Kashin Koji over things that Boruto really dislikes, but Koji does them anyway. I mean, like the mission in Sunagakure. Boruto strongly opposes and indirectly gets angry at Koji for not telling him that some shinobi would die in the mission in the Land of Wind. So, even though Koji thinks Boruto is childish, it at least shows that even though Boruto seems cold with his serious gaze and expression, he still has empathy for his friends, which Momoshiki doesn't have. Even though we know that Momoshiki and Boruto's consciousnesses can be active, as seen in several moments before the time skip, there is at least one significant difference with Boruto's moment in chapter 26, right? So in conclusion, Boruto is still Boruto. He is still the same as he was from the beginning after Sasuke truly left him. And once again, chapter 26, in my opinion, cannot be used as absolute proof that Momoshiki has truly merged with Boruto. But if the question is when and how the scenario will unfold, perhaps we can compare it to several moments before the Kawaki versus Jura arc. After it was revealed that Amado had restricted Kawaki's offensive abilities, Kawaki started making moves and forced Amado to remove his limiter. But unfortunately, that arc ended with a big question mark. I mean, before we even knew what Kawaki's answer to Amado was, or what the actual agreement really looked like, the next few chapters suddenly revealed that Kawaki had already removed his limiter without us knowing the real deal, right? Now, this is what I actually mean. Before Kawaki versus Jura arc, the scene ended with a hanging agreement, right? And of course, this is the same with Boruto and Momoshiki. There's no clear answer whether it was truly a deal or not. If Ikemoto is going to repeat a similar pattern or setup like Kawaki with Amado, then Momoshiki should lend his power to Boruto when Boruto is truly on the brink of death, when he absolutely has no other choice. But in this case, it's obviously not that simple or that quick. There's no telling in which chapter it will be revealed, but at the very least, it won't happen in the next few chapters. And actually, there are some scenarios where, when the time comes, Momoshiki could directly help Boruto when he's facing Jura head-on, without waiting for Boruto to be on the brink of death with no other choice. But guys, honestly, that scenario wouldn't make the story very interesting, because essentially, there need to be certain triggers to make the story more exciting. It can't be that simple. For example, Kawaki arriving to help Boruto and stabbing Jura's eye. I mean, with scenarios that create tension and all that, that's the timing I think would be just right. But what do you guys think? On the other hand, one thing we also need to consider is Kawaki's existence itself. As an ally who has already agreed to team up with Boruto, Kawaki has to be in a position where he can no longer fight or interfere. But logically, they should struggle and fight together first before Momoshiki merges with Boruto. Moreover, Momoshiki's words are not really consistent. Before the time skip, he promised and stated that Boruto was his special vessel would not let Boruto die. But after it was revealed in chapter 25, he actually wanted Boruto to die so that this curse would truly disappear, which means that Momoshiki also wanted to disappear. Ironic? Of course it's very ironic. It's very unreasonable for an entity like him to say such a low thing when he is the prince of Otsutsuki. Surely, there is another reason or plot twist that will be revealed sooner or later. And I admit, even though I'm not Aikamoto's right-hand man, I think we, as Boruto addicts, can all agree that there are going to be a lot of scenarios and things to consider before Boruto and Momoshiki truly merge. Because besides Kawaki, we also have to consider Kashin Koji. We know that even though the relationship between Boruto and Koji's teammates is currently not good differences in idealism, Koji apparently knows that Boruto has made a deal with Momoshiki. Does this mean that Jippo has been updated again? If not, then how would Koji know? Because after Boruto decided to enter the battlefield and help Sarada and the team, he teleported not through the metal carried by Koji the Toad, but from the metal itself that Mitsuki found. This means that when Boruto was negotiating with Momoshiki, there was no specific evidence showing that the Toad saw Boruto negotiating with Momoshiki, right? Moreover, if the Toad did see Boruto negotiating with Momoshiki, it would be very illogical for the Toad to know what Boruto was doing. Logically, it was a negotiation in the soul, not a physical one. Well, this is what makes me curious too. How did Koji know that Boruto was making a deal with Momoshiki? Telling Koji that Boruto was openly making another plan with Momoshiki is ridiculous, right? Because Boruto would have kept it a secret, just like he did with Kawaki to help him fight Jura in the Land of Wind. So how did he find out about this? So, to conclude about Koji, especially Boruto making a deal with Momoshiki, this should also be the point where Koji won't easily let Boruto move according to his plan with Momoshiki. So it won't be that simple for Boruto to proceed with his plan if Koji already knows about it. And as a final conclusion, in the end, this is just a theory and speculation. I am also convinced that Boruto and Momoshiki will unite. But to say that what we are seeing now is Momoshiki, I think it is purely Boruto's own personality and attitude. Momoshiki may indeed unite with Boruto to defeat Jura, but not in the next few chapters. There must be a major trigger for Momoshiki to ultimately save and help Boruto defeat Jura. But what do you guys think? Do you still believe what you saw was Momoshiki and not Boruto, who basically has that kind of personality? And yeah, that's it. That's just how it is. But guys, if you have your own reasons or ideas on how Ikamoto might make Momoshiki and Boruto merge, let's discuss it in the comments. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'm Nim without the E. See you in the next video. Bye bye, Dadabayo.